pain. We keep it so mellow that we speaking your refrain. Adam's story's got a point if you let him explain. It's the pun of all puns, get a pun with Papa Wayne. Rum tapping the vein, 9 minutes bringing pain. MHOG secreting, leaving a stain. You ain't as dope as us, bitch. Stay in your lane.
We should probably, just talk about this on the show.
Show's here.
We haven't really started.
Well, okay, and welcome back to the MHOG podcast. I am your host today, Kyle. What's happening? And sitting next to me is good old Papa Bear.
Adam.
How's it going?
It's alright.
All right, so if we
was talking about Space Force before the show, so we thought that's the worst thing about a podcast is like you'll sit there and go like, all right, what do we have to talk about? And the best times, the easiest times when everybody says nothing, let's just do this, and and just things kind of spontaneously happen. But when you do have things that you want to talk about, you start talking about it. Wait. We haven't recorded yet. So Space Force.
I need a galactic suit. And I need to be able to shoot lasers, handheld lasers and cannon lasers.
I think we're at the point where we probably have lasers that we could put on a ship. I think. I don't know if like there's like a problem with powering them or whatever.
I can't join unless I have a handheld laser.
I don't think they've invented handheld lasers yet. We still use bullets.
Yeah, I know, but we need to upgrade. This is the future. This is the point in time. I mean, we got Marty McFly's, the little shoes that tie themselves.
Yeah, but those don't work real well.
But still, it's happening. Give me a handheld laser and boom, I'm with Space Force. I'm all in.
And
a galactic suit.
Well, who are you gonna shoot though?
Well, see, but that's training right now because we're prepared. We don't know who we're gonna fight yet. This is Space Force. That's just like people in Iraq. That's just like going to the military.
Yeah.
Who you about to be shooting? We're not sure if we're gonna be shooting.
I saw Starship Troopers. When you training with lasers, like your brains would get blown out.
Okay, well, that's why the galactic suit is there.
That poor dumb hillbilly lost his mind, literally.
You got galactic suits.
I'm proud of that. He lost his mind. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but I'm all about Space Force. And what trips me out is you got all these nerds that are like, Trump's at Space Force.
You know what? And on top of that, you can go ahead and gentrify Wakanda and take that and do boom, boom, Space Force. That's just like that, and like all the white people will love it.
They're actually doing a comic book where Black Panther's in space now.
Oh, why are they doing that?
Why
everybody gotta go to space?
You just said you want to go to space.
No, I mean,
why does
that's
comedy
me.
go to space?
Well, what is he gonna do in space? That's like when Jason went to space.
I think he was saying, why not? Why wouldn't we go to space? Here's the thing. I don't know why Jason's in space. I don't know.
That was weird. And then Busta Rhymes had to fight him. That's the same one, isn't it?
Is that the episode? No. Busta Rhymes was... No, wait.
Jason X?
Jason X. No, wait. Wasn't Busta Rhymes in Halloween?
It was a Halloween.
He was in the one where they went trapped in the house.
Yeah.
I think it was like H2O.
Yes, it was a Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason in space was Jason X.
Yes.
Why was he in space?
Again, ran out of ideas. What's funny is he went to space and then like he went back in time and went to hell.
They confuse me with these plots of these stories. I don't get it. I was like, how are you doing this and why? Why did you do this? It makes it so weird.
I don't know. Horror films used to be real hokey like that, though. Like back in the day, like horror and sci-fi used to be
you
like
used the word hokey.
Why? What's wrong with hokey?
Hokey's good. I like it. I just haven't heard it in like fucking forever.
I'm getting old. That's the kind of slang I use.
Speaking of slangs.
Yeah, we'll get to that. You know, you ever heard? We'll get back to Space War in a second, but I listen to this podcast that reviews other podcasts as a joke, like it kind of like roasts other podcasts.
Yeah.
And the other day they did Michael Rappaport. I know how you feel about Michael Rappaport. And they were showing clips of him, and they were airing clips of him, And he was just like, one of his big insults is like, man, you corny, man, you corny. And I'm like, dude, you definitely grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
And you didn't grow up. Like,
No.
you were born in the 80s, or you were raised in the 80s, and you stayed in that mindset, because nobody goes, at least not as an insult. Like, I'll say, like, oh, that joke was kind of corny.
Yeah. No,
but nobody's like, man, you corny.
I've heard him on fucking Rude Jude on Shade 45, and it is just like, he gets shitted on. Jude just shits on him, and he's just out there saying he says some dumb shit back, and some of it's funny, but some of it's like, I so hate you. I honestly just want to choke you one time.
What's funny is he's actually a pretty good actor.
Yeah, you enjoy his acting.
Did you ever see the show with the retard that he's in?
No, you told me about it. But
he's pretty good in it. Like, mostly, Michael Rappaport's usually just playing Michael Rappaport.
Exactly, and that's why I hate that. I hate that because every time I see him, I see higher learning, and I don't see nothing else besides that skinhead. And I'm like, can't do nothing different?
See, I saw part of Higher Learning.
Oh, no.
Because what's her name's titties was in that, weren't they? Jennifer Connelly, didn't she show her titties in that?
Oh, I'm not sure. I like, when it comes to that, I'm just like, Remy done shot Tyra Banks, and I didn't appreciate that at all.
Who's Remy?
Remy, that was fucking.
That was Michael Rappaport. Okay, and he shot Tyra Banks.
He shot her with a rifle from the fucking tower as she was running. Forehead out and all, nigga. She just got a forehead and she gone, nigga. Fucking no bangs. They didn't have bangs back then. Nigga, Tyra Banks always had a huge forehead, but she was sexy. She was sexy
back then.
With a fucking terribly big forehead, and she was just out there. She was a track star. She was running, and she was supposed to be going somewhere. And then fucking Remy shot her ass from the tower, and it was like, oh, my bad. Oh, it hurts.
Note for the show:
it hurts.
Tyra Banks' big forehead is the name of the episode. I just that just made me think of, like, because that's what Michael Rappaport, that's his thing. He's like, you corny, man, you corny.
Yeah.
And I feel like he thinks like his boys are behind him, like, yeah, man, he is corny.
Never. His boys weren't even behind him when he did that dumb shit on Higher Learning. It was like, stupid ass, we didn't tell you to do that.
But so Space Force.
Yeah.
So I love it. I guarantee you, like half the people that are like pissed at Trump are like, you're a fucking idiot, Space Force. Like, also watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
Well,
I couldn't stand Star Trek. But
what Star Trek did you watch though?
You see that I watched the wrong Star Trek apparently. Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine is the right Star Trek.
Okay, well, you know what? That's probably the only one I know of Star Trek, because the Star Trek
I will say Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's the one with the black captain. The one with the black captain is the Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine with the black captain?
Yeah.
No. Who was the one with the white captain?
All the way, literally.
I never watched the black captain.
Another one. I will say the first season of Deep Space Nine is slow. And it's not like, because they kind of was like fighting with the Paramount to do the show they wanted, but by season 2 it starts to pick up. But Avery Brooks is the only, he played Captain, or he starts off as Commander Ben Sisko, but he's Captain Ben Sisko. He flies the fucking greatest starship in Star Trek history. It's called the Defiant. It's a badass little ship, and it's like, it's all about this intergalactic war that starts and all that. It's an amazing show.
So what is it? 3 of them?
There's so there's Star Trek. Just they call it TOS now. The original series. That's the one with Jim Kirk,
Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
All right.
There's Star Trek: The Next Generation.
The Next Generation.
That's with Professor X, Patrick Stewart.
That's the one. That's the one I've seen, and
Next Generation is good, but it's there's episodes that I'm like, but there's a lot of good.
I never watched any of them. I just seen it, and I was like, this is boring. Captain Kirk one, that one.
I bet there's episodes I could show you that you'd be like, oh, this is really good, But it's also very slow. It's very very old school. Then they did Deep Space Nine. Like I said, that's the one that's all about the war, and people kind of leave it alone because like it's not like regular Star Trek. It's very different from everything else. Then they have Star Trek Voyager, which is the one with Captain Janeway, the chick. That's the one that all the feminists are like, yay, Captain Janeway. It's the worst one. It's the worst one.
I've never seen that.
I actually thought about. I'm not gonna talk about it. But I started to say it, but I'm like, I don't want somebody to listen to this and then do it, like, because I haven't done it, but I should do it. But I had an idea for something to do involving Star Trek Voyager. But then there's Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula.
Enterprise, huh?
And you've seen Scott Bakula. He's in a lot of stuff. He's in that NCIS New Orleans currently. He was also in Quantum Leap. He's the lead of Quantum Leap. And then most recently they had Star Trek Discovery, which is the one with the Asian captain and the black chick who's supposed to be Spock's sister.
Really? Okay.
I haven't heard too many good things about that show, but yeah, but Deep Space Nine is really, really good. It's one of my favorite sci-fi shows of all time. It's very, very good.
Huh.
Anyway,
one of my favorite sci-fi shows is Tremors.
That's closer to horror than it is. I guess it's
sci-fi.
Really more horror than it is.
It came on Sci-Fi though.
Yeah, but a lot of things come on sci-fi. First of all, they spell sci-fi SYFY.
Hey, this is the new Sci-Fi.
That nobody's watching.
Hey, I see some of it, man. What you call it on Sci-Fi? Happy. Happy comes on Sci-Fi.
I read really the first issue. I never really got into it.
I enjoyed it. I watched at least the first 4-5 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good show.
People don't know what he's talking about. Happy is this show where this, I guess he's an
imaginary.
detective.
Yeah, he's a terrible detective, and he needs to save his daughter, who has been kidnapped by a very disgusting pedophile that's in the streets of New York, I believe, and she has an imaginary unicorn friend who is being played by Patton Oswalt. And they go on this kooky adventure trying to get his...
Right, like the imaginary friend appears to him...
His mixed baby back.
Oh, she's mixed race?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with mixed race kids.
I love mixed babies, man. They're the prettiest ones ever.
I'm technically mixed race.
Yeah.
However,
mixed race.
I don't like that. I don't
So
like
PC.
the fact that interracial is like they're trying to make it a thing. You know, let me rephrase that because it sounds bad. I feel like they're like, oh, we have to throw in an interracial baby.
Gotta have this mixed bag, cuz, man. That's how you stop racism, man. That's where you get these Cheerios commercials from.
I feel like you get more racism out of it these days. When
you
people,
think?
I think if something turns out to be a thing, like something happens, you're just like, whatever. But when you see people like, oh, we have to make this one, like, let's make her a woman. We have to make this one, like, other race or whatever. I feel like when you see every show has to do it, I feel like that's when people, like...
They don't have to do it, but certain shows do it. And it's like, oh, okay, see, now...
But I think producers don't think that way. I think normal people think that way. I think producers are like, we need this demographic and we need this demographic. In some shows, like, you don't feel it as much. And other ones, like The Charmed, like, honestly, it's mostly reboots.
It's not very strange to see.
It's not stuff like Happy. Actually, I wouldn't care. But to me, like, when they're rebooting stuff and they're like, you know, like there was the whole thing with like, oh, let's make Mary Jane black in the Spider-Man movie, and that was one thing. Like,
see, that's different. That's different though. But I mean, this is
it was a bad example. It was a bad example.
Okay.
I was just like, so
that's
much
like actually taking somebody that was one thing and actually making them another now.
But like Charmed, they're bringing back the show Charmed.
Oh, really? Kevin loves that show. I don't know. I didn't care.
A lot of the fans of that show
what are they doing?
are not happy. So, they announced when they were rebooting it. They announced like,
what did they do?
Well, originally it was going to be like, this will be like a prequel. It'll be set like it'll be a period piece. Yeah, it'll be like different witches from an earlier era. And then they were like, no, we're just going to reboot the show.
And they remake were like, the show completely.
They were like, it wasn't feminist enough. And the fans were like, Charmed was pretty feminist.
Yeah, it's all women being witches, doing cool things with witch power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the new show is basically the same show, but now they all interracial.
Wait, like they all mixed babies?
Yes. Like the mom was white, and apparently I guess the daddy was black. and you can kind of tell, and like, oh, you know, just feels weird.
What? Okay.
It's just like I'm saying, like they made a big point of like, oh, it wasn't feminist enough, like it wasn't this enough, and they're making it like, let's make it as progressive. I will not be surprised if one of them turns out to be trans.
Hey man, they trying to get all fucking demographics in there now. They trying to appease to every.
And you can do that, but don't reboot things. Just make something new.
But no, that's thinking too much for people. People can't come up with their own shit now. I've been seeing this a lot now. Mm-hmm. Like people can't create their own shit. People can't come up with their own ideas. They're always going off of what everybody else is doing because there's so much out there. Why not just capitalize off of what this person did and just add your own little flavor to it? And then that's still like. That's still not using your own ideas. That's still chinky. Like I don't like that. Like, and you see more and more of that now. And it's like, well, when is the originality gonna come out? Like, when are people gonna come out with their own shit? Like, when is this gonna stop?
A few more years.
Yeah.
I think people there's a pendulum to people and culture, and when something swings too much in one direction, people start going, nah, we're kind of done with this shit, and it starts going back.
Oh yeah, I see them.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I see the new Charmed characters, and yeah, they are. Yep. Okay.
I watched the trailer and I was just like, I mean.
There you go.
I guess let's pause this. Okay.
Mixed Baby's right in the front.
Yeah. We had to pause there for a second. Sorry. So getting back into it. Yeah. I mean, look. I complain about shit like that, but I also have a policy of like, look, I just won't go see it. Like at the end of the day, if something bothers you, just don't see it.
Yeah, basically. Know? But most people just want to be bothered most times, so they go see it just so they can complain about it. I knew some people that watched the purposely watched Triggered by Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's Triggered, his last special that he had on Netflix. Have you seen it yet?
No.
Yeah, they watched it purposely just to analyze it, break it down, and like just demean the whole thing. And
who would do that? That's stupid. It's a comedy show.
Yeah, but just like feminists, I would say, that are against the things that he said.
What's hilarious about that is like people don't get like you're the joke. The fact that you did that, you are the joke. Mm-hmm. And it just trips me out. Like people, like how do you not get this? Like it's the fact that you're that fucking sensitive that makes people do jokes about that. Like he doesn't give a shit about feminism. He's not sitting around like hating feminists. He's doing jokes like that because comedy's become this place that you can't like it's become unfunny.
Yeah.
Like if you go look at I might have talked about this before. I'm sure I have. If you go look at the top comedy podcasts on like iTunes and all that,
yeah,
so many of them have things like a sex positive comedy. You know, like the minute you say sex positive, what you're telling me is this isn't a comedy show.
All right, see, now that you're saying that, did you see that fucking? There's a new Netflix. There's a chick that has a Netflix special out, and that she demoralized. She demeans herself. She does something. She like puts herself down for her comedy, you know, like most people do, like when they talk about themselves.
Self-deprecating.
Yes, she self-deprecates herself. She's like, I'm not doing that anymore, and so this is gonna be my last show. I'm gonna self-deprecate myself, but then this is gonna be my last comedy show ever because I'm not gonna do comedy anymore because it's so bad that I talk about myself like this. And it's like, but it's comedy, and this is what got you there, and now this is what you're about to do, and it's in the New York Times. Motherfuckers are like,
is this a famous person?
I don't know. I don't know half of these people that's going on Netflix doing specials and shit now, and it's like, what the fuck? It is bothering me. All these goddamn and motherfuckers are not funny. Like, you can't just be putting everybody on fucking Netflix. Just like, what the hell are we doing? Like, well, like you're gonna ruin the fucking.
Tig Notaro has that Netflix special where she took her top off because she had like breast cancer and she got her breast lopped off, and she like did the show where and I was just like, look, if you want to,
which Netflix special?
I'm pretty sure she did that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Tig like showed her no longer tits, like on stage to like prove a point. And the thing is, like, you can do a funny cancer joke, but me looking at your like disfigured chest, like, doesn't teach me anything about breast cancer. First of all,
no.
Other than that's horrible that you went through that.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely don't make me laugh.
No, now I feel weird.
Yeah.
Now I feel very you Kaufman me right now, and I don't appreciate whatever type of comedy show I came to. Thank you for teaching me this lesson, but I prefer to go back to laughing right now.
But Tig Notaro is definitely one that I noticed. Like, I've heard her, like little snippets of bits.
I've watched her stand up on Netflix. I enjoyed it.
Really?
I enjoy it. Yeah, it's subtle, but see, that's her Netflix special sent me to that. I think it's like Heather Graham or something. Like, I say that, but I don't know the name. But I think it's like that. And I listened. I looked at the trailer and I'm like, what is this? Like, you getting out of comedy because you don't want to do this no more? But that's comedy, though. Mm-hmm. Like, most of my shit is me talking about myself. Or talking about what I go.
If you feel like you've gone too far humiliating yourself, then just do something else.
Right.
Or is it just that you're not funny and the only way that you can make people laugh is by making fun of yourself?
Huh. That's a good way of looking at it, because it's like, well, then you don't have to do that anymore. You can definitely... I mean, fucking Jim Gaffigan. Mm-hmm. That motherfucker's hilarious, and he does all clean comedy. He doesn't talk about anything self-deprecating. He just fucking be talking about fucking weird, crazy shit. His kids and his family. That's still funny. Why you gotta get out of comedy because you don't want to talk about yourself no more? Then don't.
Oh, maybe you're right, though. Maybe it's just, like, looking to get in the New York Times and all that. And, like, because you get brownie points for these things. And
people, apparently.
People you hire you for other things then, when you're like, oh, this is... I don't know. But, yeah, but that kind of shit can ruin... And I'll give you a perfect example. Trying to think of her name. Nicole Byer. Do you know her?
No.
I heard her on a couple of episodes of How Did This Get Made, and she was hilarious. And she's actually got a Netflix show now called Nailed It, which you might have seen the commercials for. It's supposed to be a cooking show, but instead of it being like top chefs competing, it's people who can't fucking cook at all. And like the person who can make like the best cake,
Yeah.
Because I think it's a lot of baking. The person who makes the best cake, like, they'll show you like, this is a professional cake made by an artist. Look how beautiful it is, and there'll be like a cup of wine like going down, but it's not real cup, that kind of thing.
Oh, I did see that shit. Okay. And they try to make it. It looks trash,
and she's hilarious.
Yeah. That's
so
fucked up.
I saw in the top like 20 comedy podcasts, Nicole Byer has a show called something like Why Won't You Date Me? And so I started listening to an episode, and she starts off, it's like her and another semi-famous comedian, and they're talking about men, and they're like, you and I both agree that men are trash. I was like, what? And I listened to like maybe a couple minutes of it, but she's like, so basically their premise is like, we both agree that men are trash, and then it's like, why won't they date me? I feel like you should have a little more self-awareness than this as a comedian. I feel like you should have a little bit of... I feel like you've probably been around other comedians who probably pointed out, you dumb as fuck. Like it's... I'm sorry. It's not because you're fat. It's because you're dumb. Because you say shit like men are trash. Like, maybe men don't want to date women who think they're trash. Do women want to date dudes who are like, you're all whores? Like, is there a lot of that? But I'm like, dude, like, so I listen to this podcast, I'm like, oh, she's a funny comedian. I want to hear, I'd like to hear what she does on her own podcast. And it's like, the first thing is like, men are trash. I'm like, oh
this is
that's not really funny. That's just kind of...
That's how you feel. That's how you feel for real.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But, like, this is listed on a comedy podcast. And it's like, there's a lot of comedians, and they just don't... It's so hard to... I think for a lot of modern comedians, because I feel like so many comedians grew up seeing people like George Carlin and thinking like, oh, that's how you do it, but don't really get what they were doing. And I think there's a lot of modern comedians that are like, oh, I need to have a message in my comedy, but don't know how to integrate it because it's got to be 90% comedy, 10% message.
Yeah.
You know, if it's the other way.
Chappelle did that really well. In Chappelle's new specials.
Oh, his new ones? Okay.
Yeah.
I really haven't watched his new stuff. I like his old stuff is so brilliant, but his old stuff really.
Dang, there it is.
Jesus, sorry,
Christ
folks.
is Lord and Savior.
Okay,
All right.
I don't know where that came from. But yeah, man, I just you like your job is to make people laugh. Mm-hmm. If you want to make them think, that's fine, but you better do it in a funny way.
Yeah. And
there's so many comedians these days that get by. Like, at some point, you'll see it in their comedy special. It's not always Netflix, but you'll see it in their comedy special. There'll be a point like, let's just talk about, whatever it is. It's often racism. Let's just talk about racism for a second.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to talk about racism for a second.
Oh, well, if you do, like, why are you stopping the show?
Yeah.
You can't make that funny?
I've seen, oh my God. I've been trying to, I've gone through, like, a few Netflix specials on Netflix just to be like, all right, let's see, who they putting up on Netflix. And I came across, have you ever seen Theo Von do stand up or anything like that?
I watched his special that on Corey Netflix? Was. Did you see that? Yeah. Corey's like very briefly in it.
Yeah,
it's a split second where they do like the hand, the hand job, whatever. I was shocked at how unfunny I thought it was.
Oh my God! Me and Therese could not get through it. We had to turn it off. We was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And I think I've seen him on like shows. I've heard him like he's funny, but his stand up. I'm gonna pull a Michael Rappaport. You corny, man.
Dude, there was fucking brain fart pauses. I was like, what's going on? It fucked me up. I was like, why did he just stop there? You could cut that. Like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't know what I'm watching right now. Wherever you're going with your fucking mentality or have your structure in these jokes, it is fucking me up. And I was like,
I don't think I laughed once. I watched I'd say 15 minutes.
Oh, it got uncomfortable. Like we got like almost all the way through it, and we was just like, we can't do this no more. It got
that's
real
his hometown show. I mean, well,
yeah,
he's from
Covington,
but here. But yeah, he did it.
He did that here, and just the shit. It's like, alright, man, gay shit is gay shit, but nigga, we got a lot of more gay people that are fucking doing.
He was doing a lot of stuff on gay people.
Oh, just like, it's not the 80s no more. You can't just be bashing fags and shit. That's not.
I don't know if that's true.
But you gotta make it funny. You better make it funny. I don't know what the fuck.
That is the rule. Anything, like, whenever people, like, you can't do jokes on anything. I don't care what it is. Can be a joke. You can do a joke on anything, but the cardinal rule of comedy is it better be funny.
It better be fucking funny.
And we've talked about this. Like, you remember that time that like I did the open mic and I did the joke about like your family members getting raped.
Yeah.
And that went over like that. I thought it was hilarious.
In your head, you was dying. Everybody else is like, is somebody dying in here?
Because you could hear people pouring water in the background. And I enjoyed it. I was like, oh wow, okay, that was the line. That was
man, yeah. I think you met the line like probably like a joke and a half ago.
Okay, all right.
I was like, yeah, and that just took the cake right there. I was like, oh. Yeah, this is where he realizes that everybody's not with it.
But that's comedy. And look, if you want people to laugh, you got there's risk and reward.
But who is out there and is like, yeah, you deserve this. Like, yeah, you should be here. You should be on this.
I'm not following.
Like, who is out there saying, yes, you deserve this Netflix special because what we seen was brilliant. Who is?
But here's the thing. Like, is it?
Who's greenlighting?
Here's what I don't understand about modern comedy specials. They seem to shoot it like in one, Like like when Dave Attell did his last special, he did it in like 8 different clubs across the country. So that meant he did the same set in every and so he just cut it, like this, this
Rock does the same thing.
Yeah, like all these specials, and hey, and if you look, I saw Joe Rogan do what's probably his special here.
Yeah,
and not every joke's ever gonna hit. I don't care how good you are. Not every joke's gonna hit. Mm-hmm. But pretty much everything, like, and the good thing is, like,
different jokes hit in different places.
Right.
So if you do that certain joke that didn't hit here, you can cut that other joke that hit here, and then boom, put those together, and it's still.
But you can also, like, if you're doing well enough, the wave of people already laughing carries over. So jokes that really aren't that funny are elevated a little bit. But like I see, like it's okay. Theo Von might actually be a great comedian. That is not a good example of it. So my question is it that he really isn't that funny and like he was given this off the merit of he's a rising comedian? Or did Theo Von not think maybe I should do a bunch, because he only did one night here, you know? So maybe he just decided like, oh, it has to be in New Orleans and that's what they're going to pay for? Because like to me, like, why not just do does your comedy special have to be at a giant theater? Can you not just go? Because that's what he does.
That's what Tig did. Man, bro, I was right there. Fucking the theater that she did it in, it was right there. It was very intimate.
Oh, it was shot here?
No. I don't know where. I forget where her show was. Where her special was shot at. But the one that she has on Netflix. No. I just watched it on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you. I'm sorry. I thought you were saying you were front stage.
No.
All right. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, but that, and you can see everybody's right there. And it's very intimate. And like, it's an audience of her people that actually want to be here. This Civic Center shit, that's just motherfuckers that's like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, I guess it's the same thing. I can't really say it's not. It's just random people going to
here's my point.
Place. But
here's my point. If Theo Von does a series of shows at smaller clubs, I'm not saying tiny. I'm not saying go do it in like the type of place that we normally do comedy here in New Orleans. I'm saying, but like a decent sized club, but still a club instead of a theater. That means you can do 19 different sets for a relatively cheap amount of money. When you're doing a show at whatever, the Civic Center, that's it. It costs a lot of money to film at something like that because there's so many acoustical issues and all that, like lighting, all that. You have to set up so much stuff. So why not do your specials in a place where you can just, like, okay, the crowd wasn't that into it this time. I didn't pull it off. You know, maybe my jokes were funny, maybe they weren't funny, but like I didn't pull it off. You know, instead of just having it like, if it don't work tonight, it just don't work.
They do a lot of Comedy Central tapings at the Civic Center too.
Do they?
Yeah, that's where the first person I've actually seen do probably like the third person, but Neil Brennan. I've seen Neil Brennan's special. Neil Brennan's special was taped at the Civic Center. Okay. Yeah, Moshe Kasher. Like a lot of people get their shit taped at the Civic Center. Like they come down here for the 30-minute specials, for Comedy Central's 30-minute specials, and they tape them there. Like, and you get to pick.
I don't hear about any of these.
Well, it's an email that we get out, and you get to pick who you want to go see. And it's like, you are blowing up today, Papa Bear.
That's Gary. I called Gary to see if he wanted to do the show. And like that was an hour ago. I was like, what are you doing an hour ago? And like he's hitting me up now, and I'm like, dude, we're recording, man.
He trying to hit up every fucking.
Sorry, Gary, you're gonna get us later, but like,
trying to hit up every resource. He hit up your tablet, tablet back there.
He must have been like, man, he's probably asking me to be on the show. Like what? Sorry, Gary. Like that's the way it goes.
We'll catch you next time, man.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Like I said, I've heard Theo Von and other things. I think he's funny, but I might have made it through 15 minutes of that special. It was really bad, and I do agree with you. I think a lot of those Netflix shows, I'll start watching it. Crystalia is another weird one that I don't get, and
you can't get through it. Oh, I love his.
I've watched the whole thing, but I don't really get it. And honestly, part of it to me is Crystalia's got a weird face where the whole time I watched the special, like he kept vacillating back and forth. Where I was like, he's really good looking. Oh no, he's ugly. No wait, he's good looking. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, why is it like every time your face turns, you're either ugly or really good looking?
The ladies love him. The ladies love him. Yeah, but it's the hair. I think it might be the hair. If he cuts that hair, I don't think he'd have anything. Because it's just
he looks like a Russian mobster.
He looks like one of those scruffy fucking writers that you would see with. And usually never has a shirt on, but sometimes. It's just weird. Always walking around barefoot. One of them type of niggas. Well, but always walking around barefoot.
I'm barefoot right now. I was like, oh, well, whatever. Whatever, man.
But yeah, man, his shit's hilarious. That's like, fucking Rory Scovel. Have you watched Rory Scovel?
No, you talk about him a lot, but I've never seen him.
Yeah, his special is just like, what is happening right now? He pointing out the obvious, but just kooky, just not sticking to one topic, not talking about politics or anything like that, not fucking, sticking with what's socially acceptable and what people are fucking saying in the media right now. Nah. And it's like, yeah.
And it doesn't need to be like, sometimes people just want to laugh.
Some dude's up there and he's like, man, I know he got a jacket on and one side of the drawstring is all the way down and the other one is like right there at the tip, like it's about to get sucked into the hood. And he was like, I know this is probably bothering y'all, but I'm gonna leave it like that just because everybody's like, I want you to fix it. And it's so fucking funny just because it's like, why is that? And then as soon as you think about why is this drawstring, he fucking boom points it out. It's fucking hilarious. Just kind of like, on the spot type of
I don't know. Well, I'm very picky about comedy, like when I'm willing to see it and all that. Like I said, I haven't watched any of Dave Chappelle's new stuff. I haven't watched any of Joe Rogan's new stuff. And I don't know what it is. I think part of me is just like, I feel like it's going to disappoint me. Like,
you need to watch it with somebody. That's what you should do. Watch it because you ain't gonna want to watch it by yourself because you're gonna be the biggest critic.
The only somebody. Oh well, but I'm always gonna.
I know.
That's how I am. Mm-hmm. But it either makes me laugh or it doesn't. like I will say, if that is one thing that sucks about me, don't if you listen to this, don't ever ask me about your comedy, unless you really want to hear it. Because if I'm not laughing, I'm definitely dissecting. I'm well, that's why that didn't work. You should have paused a little bit there, And there's a comedian. I won't mention it. I won't mention his name, but we're both very familiar with the person. But I went to see his show, and I've told you about this. He got real political, but it wasn't. He would have a bit in there every little few seconds, but it was mostly just him speaking his mind. I was like, dude, all you doing is halting the show, and if people are clapping, they're not laughing. There is a clap laugh that people do when they're really laughing, when they're like, that. But mostly, if people are just listening to your point, they're not,
that.
Laughter, more often than not, is unexpected. They don't know where the bit's going. But if you're talking about a political point, they're either agreeing or disagreeing, but they're paying attention to the point and they're not getting the punchline. You can't pay that much attention to a joke. You have to let it kind of... Am I making sense?
Yeah.
It's got to kind of hang out there. You can't be drilling into the minutia. And maybe that's my problem. Is if I see something that's not working, I'm really drilling into the minutia. But that's just... I've seen so much comedy since I was a little kid, Mm-hmm. It's really weird that I'm not somebody who's inclined to be a comedian. Just because I've done so much studying of comedy since I was little.
There's a lot of people out there that are like you, though, that don't do it but are really deep into it.
But I have done it. I just don't... It's just not me.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of people out there that haven't ever done it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fucking... it's funny because by that person I was told that, when you come do my show... don't be doing anything new or trying any new bits. I was like, but it still got a little chuckles, but there's nah, you do your set as recommended. But I was like, it normally doesn't happen like that here. Me being the first.
You can't do that to a comedian though. You can't tell them.
Yeah, well, I almost didn't get paid because I did that, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I've done this before to where everything was new. You didn't know. You ain't gonna know what it is now just because it didn't land like it should have. Right. Doesn't mean that it's
it's not necessarily whether or not it's new. It's just sometimes you can do the same joke the exact same way, and the crowd's different.
Right.
There is no math to comedy. I'm a big fan of a dude named Ben Shapiro, and when it comes to politics, like I'll listen to anything he has to say, whether I agree with it or not. When it comes to anything cultural, like taste in movies, music, whatever, he's trash. Like it's like he said so many things. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I've heard him like do a thing where pundits do, where it's sort of like an open letter, where they're speaking to a celebrity that said something stupid. And he was talking about Amy Schumer, and he was just like, like, that's not how comedy works. This is how comedy works. And I was sitting there, I was like, I don't find Amy Schumer funny, but the fact that you, a political pundit who has never done comedy a day in his life, are lecturing a top-level comedian, whatever you think about her, is moronic. Like, it's just as moronic as if she was lecturing him about politics. Like that's not your field. And also, there is no math to comedy.
Stay in your lane.
There is no math to comedy. It is an art. It is not a science. And some people are artists and remain great artists, and some people are artists for a period and then become shitty artists. But there's no math to it. Because if there was a math to it, I'm trying to think of somebody who's not funny anymore.
Who's not funny anymore?
Yeah.
Seinfeld.
I never found Seinfeld. Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Oh.
Eddie Murphy, you don't get much bigger in comedy than Eddie Murphy. Like, Kevin Hart's done bigger stuff, but Kevin Hart's not to the legendary level that Eddie Murphy is. But if Eddie Murphy went on stage right now, he'd bomb. There's very little chance he would do a successful show because he's been out of it so long. But if there was a science to it, then he would just be able to, like, 2 + 2 = 4,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an art. It's not a science.
Yeah, because you haven't been in that art for so long. Like you've really fucking gotten rusty. And but you see with like Chris Tucker, Chris Rock came back to his thing, but
I think Chris Rock still does clubs and stuff like
Chris
that.
Rock does. Martin's trying to come back. His shit was. I think in that Def Jam era, that shit's done now. Like you cannot come back. You can't be out here as a comedian trying to go to the masses with this Def Jam comedy. Meaning like, how it was back then, just real black and didn't give a fuck about who you insulting or whatever, just saying random shit.
But why not?
I don't think it's only gonna work for a certain genre. I think it's only gonna work for just black audiences. I mean, it'll work real well, but you won't get the multitude of people.
Well, I guess it depends. Like, are you insulting a specific person the whole time, or a specific group of people, or are you just like everybody's free, everybody's fodder for my cannon?
Well, if you ever watched the old Def Jams and shit, like.
I haven't since it came out. I mean, I used to watch it when I was a kid, but
yeah, the old Def Jams wouldn't hold up to the day. Like that, like certain people that went on there, they can still hold up to the day. Like, but back then you can see why they fell off. It was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. I'm surprised that Tracy Morgan, because when I seen his little set that he had on there, it was like Martin said he only did it for 6 months. He's only been doing it for 6 months. He came out there and he did some wacky shit. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And then, but it just progressed from him continuing doing wacky shit to now.
Well, that was a different era. People were looking for comedians back then. And now
apparently.
I think now they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to do some type of comedy. And I think people aren't looking for it anymore, so they can be pickier. Now, granted, like we were saying earlier, it still leads to like some terrible.
Have you seen Tracy's last stand up?
No. No, I watched the last OG. for a couple episodes. I enjoyed that, but I haven't seen it.
I do enjoy it. I haven't seen it, but I've been hearing good raves about it. But his stand up is just like, you just a nigga being extra niggerish on stage right now, basically.
Yeah, maybe, but he's also got a little bit of Gary Busey in him. Like he's a little bit fucked up in the head, like where it's kind of silly too.
It's not little. It is. He's really fucked up in the head.
I'm being polite. I'm saying, but it's also silly. It's not.
Yeah, it's very silly.
You know,
the shit that he says is very, very silly.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Well, yeah, I guess that's why it works. But I mean, anybody can really do that. Just be extra silly and extra vulgar.
But if anybody could, everybody would.
You got a lot of people trying. But
that's what I'm saying. Not everybody can. Like, you can try.
Shit. But certain areas, like comedy is a big thing now, man. That shit gets shitted on. Especially coming up. Like, there's a lot of rooms, like alt rooms, motherfucking them PC rooms, feminist rooms. It is so weird.
And again, that's not comedy. As soon as you introduce an element of you can't say this, you've broken the joke. You've broken the illusion.
You know, I got friends that have been kicked out of so many places because of the things they said on Twitter. And it's like, this person can't do comedy here because he said this. Mm-hmm. Are you serious? Just because you run this room? Like, he can come here on any other day, but besides this day. Besides this Monday or this Tuesday when you run in this room. He can come to this bar any other day besides this day. It's kind of fucked up. You know?
It is fucked up, but I also understand that when you're in certain rooms, you know what the crowd is. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a feminist room, if you're going to make any joke that involves a woman, they're going to get mad because that's what they do. Because they are, as we started off talking this, they are triggered. And look, we obviously, you do a show in a room regularly that, like, I would say maybe don't do a lot of Trump jokes.
It changes the dynamics of how things could go. We had a game show last night, and it was kind of feminist heavy, and like certain shit would go by, and we'd be like, "What the fuck?" Any other time it would be like, if it was mixed or generally like a good mixture, people would be like, "Yeah," but nah, it didn't happen that way. It was like
the problem is when you have just to use because you brought it up, a feminist room is people aren't coming there to see comedy. They're coming there to have their beliefs reaffirmed. Like they're coming there to see a certain thing, and that thing it's specifically comedy. And people don't get, like, there's different types of humor, and the easiest example that it's so cliche, it's corny. Is I always say, like, look, if I went into a room full of, like, they almost did, but the KKK.
They almost did.
All I gotta do is like, I don't have to make a joke. I just have to say, like, niggers, right? It's gonna get laughs. Because the laugh isn't like, that's funny, because it's not. There was no joke there.
It's just everybody has that mutual hatred.
Yeah. People do that in every group of people. If you're in a feminist crowd, all you have to do is make a joke that involves, like, accept rape. Perfect one for the last couple of years. Like, women can do everything except apparently be president, right? You corny. I might start doing it. I might steal every microphone.
All men are trash.
Yeah, like, and that crowd will laugh. That's not funny. Like, it's a lame, very hacky joke.
I hate seeing shit like that. It's weird to see. And it's like, whoa, are you serious? Like, you're appeasing to your masses in here, and I don't like it. And it's just like,
but it's not just that. They genuinely believe it. But here's the thing, like, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It's either comedy or it's not. It's either funny or it's not. And if the crowd's only laughing because you said a certain word against a certain group of people that they hate, then it's not comedy. You're just an asshole who's just on stage, An asshole with a microphone is not a comedian, So... Let's move off the subject because I did want to bring up, speaking of assholes with microphones. So I was reminded today of an incident from a couple of years ago. Probably about 3 years ago, when we were really trying to make this show something different. At the time, I was a heavy listener to the Adam Carolla podcast, or Adam Carolla show, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, he and Joe Rogan were kind of neck and neck for number one.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this, I don't know who gave it to, I guess it was Guinness World Records. He had like an award for like most downloaded podcast of all time. I don't know if it was from a certain episode or if it's like sum total, but at some point he got this award. So my thought was, look, I can't afford to pay Adam Carolla to come here and do a show in New Orleans, but we put on shows. Maybe we can help him facilitate doing a show here in New Orleans, which I think there's a big enough audience for.
Mm-hmm.
And like he, like in return, like I'll do the work, I'll put in, for the advertising, I'll do whatever. And in return, I would just come on our show for half an hour or whatever. That was my thought. And I figured, like, odds are they're going to say no, but does it hurt to, like, put it out there? So I contacted the business manager, whose name I forget, and I proposed this to him, and the dude sent back, like a little screen cap of the thing that says, like, most downloaded podcasts, whatever, basically, like, showing me his dick, like, all right, little guy, like, we're a little bigger than that, And I was just like, all right, man, fuck you. Like, if you didn't even have to respond. If you didn't like what I had to say, like, you could have just said no. Mm-hmm. But, like, it was really important to him to, like, just show me, like, what a big man he was, And what's funny is, like,
that's dick move, man.
You go look at those iTunes charts right now. Adam Carolla isn't even in the top 40.
Yeah, I stopped listening to him.
A lot of people did for a lot of reasons. Mostly because of him, because his shit just kind of got like, all right, dude, we get it. You don't like your parents, like. I've heard enough.
Yeah,
like I don't need to hear that all the time.
It didn't entertain me anymore. I'm like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, and that's what it came down to. It was like I just kind of stopped. Like it just wasn't funny anymore. And also he does the same bits like constantly. Like if you ever watch one of his movies, like it's bits that he does. But anyway. But I just like I saw that this morning, like the Facebook memory, like me talking about it on Facebook, and I was like, the wheel never stops turning. And look, and I'm not pretending Adam Carolla's not still successful. He obviously is. He still makes money, but like, yeah, dude, like you ain't the number one downloader. And he wasn't even him. It was his partner.
Yeah,
that,
which is a dick move on his partner's part because dude, don't do shit like that. I mean, did Adam tell you to do that? I'm pretty sure he probably didn't.
No, but they're partners, so it's like, like I would trust you to represent us, in whatever way you saw fit. Yeah. And I wouldn't have to, like, check in with you, Why are you laughing like my
I'm just saying, because that's a dick move, man. Like, man, you don't know us, man. Fuck you, son. Look at these balls here. Yeah. Don't, what?
And like, the odds are they'll never need me, but like, if there was some sort of like turnaround at some point, like you might want like, oh, you want me to go on your show? Like, go fuck yourself,
Right. Remember when you sent this, and then you sent him a picture of a dick bag. I'm like, nah, man, you can have this though.
Oh, I actually legitimately joked about asking a friend of mine who has a notoriously large penis to like. Send me one of his dick pics, and I would just post him the email.
That's a good friend.
But he would have done it. He would have done it, which is why I didn't ask, because I was like, don't need to see it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just funny. Let's see. We're about an hour in. You want to talk about old people slang?
Old people slang. I can't stand old people that try to do slang still.
Yeah, I don't know what I said earlier, but I said something, and you were like, "Oh, people! Oh, it was hot mess." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know the hot mess thing," and you were telling me, "Yeah, no, people don't use."
I don't like old people that just try to that still try to stay hip. Like
that's what turned me on Steve Harvey, because when Steve Harvey had his first show, I was a big fan. I saw a bunch of his comedy specials. He had like a HBO special at the time, and I was like, "Man, Steve Harvey's really funny." And then he did the Steve Harvey show, and it was him and Cedric the Entertainer, and they were like, come on, dog. And I was like, dude, you're like 50. Oh, that's something that teenagers say. This is not, this is uncomfortable.
Kind of, but not really anymore. And
not anymore, but at the time.
Oh, at the time, yeah, they're gonna be stuck in that era forever. That's just gonna be them. And you can see that. You can see that in certain people. It's like, oh, you're never gonna change out of that era. You're just always gonna be this. You're never gonna morph into being an older person. You're just gonna be, oh, I was hip and cool at this time, so I'm gonna stay.
But it's worse than that, because that was not, like, I understand the person, like I said, like Michael Rappaport, that, like, oh, people used to, like, they used to say, oh, you corny as like a insult when he was younger. And he just never grew out of that.
Never did. Yeah.
There was never a point when Steve Harvey was young where people called other people my dog. He adopted that because he heard young people saying it. And it's fucking weird.
Well, at that time, when it was cool, that's what he used, but that was in that era where motherfuckers was growing up and, to go ahead and reach out to youth when he was big, he would say that, just like fucking Randy from goddamn America's Got Talent or whatever.
Oh, Randy Jackson?
Yeah, that motherfucker. It's like, he's a prime motherfucking example.
When you say fucking Randy, it makes me think that
Randy.
there's some dude that you know, like, fucking Randy.
Yeah, Randy Jackson from fucking...
Gotcha. No,
yeah, is it the singing show or the America's Got Talent?
No, he was on American Idol.
American Idol.
He used to call people dog all the time.
And it's like, yo, what are you doing? You're not cool anymore just because you lost the weight. Get the fuck out of your head.
Was he ever cool? I don't know. I didn't know who he was before American Idol.
I guess he was a choreographer or some shit. I'm not really sure. Didn't care for him. I was like, I don't like what you're trying to do to your persona right now. Like I don't know if he was the guy, but he reminds me of somebody's grandpa that wears the backwards hat with the jersey tucked in to their jeans, and the jeans all tight and shit. But it's like it's a fresh jersey, and it's like some jeans that the kids are wearing nowadays, and it's like, what are you doing? You look gross with this jersey tucked all the way in. You even blouse the jersey. You got the jersey tucked all the way in your pants, and your belt pulled tight, real tight. Like, be old, man. Be old. Stop trying to be hip.
That is an American thing that I don't get. Like, I'm not gonna name no names, but I know people that are older that dye their hair. And I'm like, dude, just accept that, you look, because you look like an alien with it. Like, you know what it looks like when like, this is more of a white thing, but when you see, like, an old white person that's got their hair dyed, like, whatever it is, jet black, it looks like the aliens in Galaxy Quest. Like, wearing, like, weird wigs and shit like that. Like, it's like, oh, no, like, you look almost human, but just slightly adjusted, like, not quite, like, it's got that uncanny valley feel. It's just like, dude, you're getting older. Just accept, like, we all do. Yeah. And I'm almost 40, and you've known me for a while. I've always had that salt and pepper facial hair. Yeah. I guess I could try and dye it or whatever. It's not really that thick, but why? Why not just accept, like, look, this is what's happening, like, because you're not turning back time. Nope. And it doesn't make you look better looking to you just
prolonging the inevitable. It's gonna be there anyway. Yeah. You just gonna get more. Just calm it down, goddammit. Just let it happen. I can't wait till I get grays. Motherfuckers gonna be like, damn, how old are you? And I'll be like, don't worry about it. Guess. I got grays coming in now. Shit, I'm closer to 40 than I am 25. So,
I guess that's true. I'm not sure if that's relevant to anything, but all right.
But if you think about it, I'm 33 years old, so...
Yeah, 8 years. Now you're about even. 8 years on either side.
Almost? Okay, good. I never did the math on it. I just threw it out there.
25 to 30... Wait, no, 32?
33.
33, yeah. So, now, yeah, you are close. I'm sorry. 33. Yeah, you are closer to 40.
Okay, good. You did the math. I didn't have to do it.
8 on one side, 7 on the other.
Nice. Oh, I just passed it. I just passed it.
Yeah.
I like it. On other news, besides that, real quick, I've been watching this show. It is a very interesting show. It's called Cooking on High, and it's on Netflix. And basically, they bring, like, chefs and stuff, like chefs that actually are professional chefs, and they bring stoners out and musicians, and basically anything that they cook it with weed, and they get judged on how good the dish is, and also how high they get. So it is a very interesting show. Most of the time, they just judging on how delicious the dish is, but they be making dishes though.
That must be filmed in California.
Possibly, yeah. Probably. I mean, people in California are just making so much money doing dumb shit. They had a rapper that was on. I was like, I've never heard of this guy. He did some type of freestyle. I was like, you're terrible, but apparently you did enough to get on this show. A lot of comedians on the show. A lot of comedians
on the Cooking on High
show.
Sounds interesting. I'd be curious to try some of that food. Like I've always been curious about edibles.
Yeah, they have been to the point to where they got like blasted, but the food was just shit that they cook. It was like, wow, this looks delicious.
If you ever want to see me high, definitely help push this show, because if we ever were successful, and I could quit my job, like that'd be the first that we'll film it. Well, you know.
Ooh. Yeah.
I just need like 50,000 people to start listening suddenly.
Oh, heavy breathing will start. And this is like, yes, things will be seen that day.
Well, we're probably gonna close up, but so this is gonna come out on Monday. You're doing some shows out in Texas. Why don't you?
I'm gonna be going out to Texas. Ooh, I know there's a secret show that's happening today, Sundays. On Sundays, there's a secret show that happens out in Houston. I'm going to be going to Houston.
But you ain't going to be here, so.
Yeah, I know. I might go back.
I just bring it up.
Yeah. But yeah, there's I'm going to be doing a little circuit out in Texas, between like Houston, San Marcos, Austin, Dallas, maybe. Something like that. I'm trying to hit a few places out there.
If you go to Dallas, eat at the Fat Chicken.
The Fat Chicken. Okay.
I told you about this. Is the place with the donuts and the pie, butterscotch pie, and all that, the homemade pies. Go to the Fat Chicken.
That butterscotch pie. Yeah, yes. Well, Texas. Keep on the lookout for your boy. I'll be coming around the mountain.
Do you have the listings on your website or anything like that?
No. Me and my website need to have a talk. All right, and
we can talk about that one.
Okay, good, because it's just keeping up with that shit, and then trying to keep up with like we'll talk.
We'll talk about it. Don't forget, like if anybody's anywhere on the Gulf Coast. We're doing a show July 14th at Crooked Letter Brewery out in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. It's going to be a good show. Kyle's headlining. We got Geneva Joy, who's done one show that I wasn't there for. I think, was it one of the open mic shows?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's never done an official, that was just like a show.
Yeah, she showed up and she's like, what the fuck is going on?
So Geneva's very funny. Like, I saw, actually, funny, the first time I saw it was in Mississippi at a gay club called Sips.
Mm-hmm. That was when that Corey.
Yeah, it was Corey. Actually, I think it was a Jeff D show. I don't know if Corey put it together. He was there though. Corey was there. Corey and Nina were there. But Geneva's gonna be there. Matt Robin, and then I always tell people like, look, there's a lot of musicians in New Orleans. Jack Locke to me is one of the most talented musicians anywhere near here, and he's gonna be there. It's gonna be solo acoustic. But he's going to be, doing some good stuff. And if you listen to this and you're going to be there, ask him to do Sleazy Sexy. That's my favorite song that he does.
Sleazy Sexy. Oh.
Sleazy Sexy. He never does it. And I don't even know if you can do it acoustically. But definitely. Yeah. So I'm excited. Oh, and it's one of the rare instances where you'll see me on stage because I will be hosting. So it's gonna get weird.
Yeah, it's gonna get weird. It is gonna get weird.
I promise not to do any jokes that end in people like want me to get off the stage.
It might slip though.
No. I kind of have like written down what I'm gonna go.
Oh, you got a little set list.
I figured I should, but you don't get to see me on stage that often, so. I think that's about it for right now. Like we have some stuff that we're working on that hopefully we can get going. We're trying. I mean, I always feel like I'm always announcing things that'll never happen. But like, there's so many things that we want to get on the books, but it's just hard. Like, because we don't have money. Like, we don't have the money to really make a lot of things that we want to make happen.
We're just out here getting it.
So, but if you push the show and we get 50,000 listeners, we'll put it out there. So
50,000, man.
I'm just making up that number arbitrarily, but I feel like I could get some advertising for 50,000 listeners. So
yeah.
But the listenership's been growing. Thank y'all, anybody who just started listening. We appreciate it. So
wherever y'all coming from, appreciate it. Love y'all.
So I guess that's about it.
Yeah, check out fucking maniacalmenace.com and Maniacal Menace on Instagram and Kyle Smith on Facebook.
Yes, sir.
Plugs.
I've been Adam.
I've been Kyle.
And keep it Tyra Banks' forehead. I don't know.
Keep it long and dinosaur like. All right.